My name is Kathy Brown. I'm 42 years old. I'm a stay-at-home mom with a husband of the same age and a daughter in ninth grade. My husband, Tim, and I were co-workers at the same company right after college. We got married when I was 27, and I became a stay-at-home mom. I actually wanted to continue working, but Tim begged me to stay home. Then our daughter, Samantha, was born, and I became busy with my first experience of parenting and housework. From that time, Tim's behavior started to change. After Samantha was born, I noticed that he looked down on people he considered inferior to him. He always made comments to me, even when I hadn't slept at all due to our baby's nighttime crying, about how I was a stay-at-home mom with no income.
Must be good to be a carefree housewife.
Moreover, he would sometimes be cold towards our daughter. When she was in kindergarten, she occasionally made predictions that came true. For example, on our way back from the store, she insisted,
I want to go home this way today.
Sure enough, there was a traffic accident on our usual route at that time. Over time, Tim started to find her unsettling. As Samantha grew, her strange predictions stopped, but Tim still didn't engage with her and now hardly speaks to her. Instead, he started blaming me.
Samantha is so sullen because of you.
Tim started blaming everything he disliked on me. Of course, I've thought about getting our divorce, but I'm holding on until Samantha graduates from college. One Saturday, Samantha was out all day for her club activities, and Tim was also out, so I was engrossed in my hobby of making jewelry. I've always liked doing detailed work. It's a stress reliever for me. I heard someone come home and saw Tim open the living room door. He looked pleased but sneered when he saw the half-finished jewelry.
Don't tell me you've been wasting time on that until I got home. What about the housework? There's plenty to do like laundry and cleaning.
I did the waterworks and weeded the garden today. Tim, who is often away, didn't notice the change.
You slack on housework and make useless things you won't even use. What exactly can you do? Because you're so lazy and unproductive, Samantha is so gloomy.
Gloomy? What is he talking about? Isn't it because he doesn't try to engage with her? Samantha talks a lot about her day to me.
You and Samantha can't live without my earnings. Respect me more. If you don't like it, try earning as much as I do. Then we'll be on equal footing.
Tim, arms crossed and chin raised, looked down on me. I've had enough of this belittling life. As I was thinking that, Tim suddenly remembered something and said,
Oh, by the way, I don't need dinner tomorrow because I have a business dinner.
I couldn't believe my ears. Tomorrow is Samantha's basketball game, and Tim was supposed to go and cheer her on. I had convinced him to go despite his reluctance. Is he really going to break that promise?
I want to show Dad what I can do.
My daughter was so eager. She thought that if she performed well and showed her skills, her dad would take an interest in her. Maybe that's what she believed. But Tim doesn't notice her wish.
Of course, my business dinner is more important than a middle school game. This is why women who know nothing about work are so annoying.
I felt a sting in my nose. If I don't hold back, I might start crying. But if I cry now, he'll probably say, women think they can just cry their way out. I sniffled, trying to escape the brink of my tears. Just as Tim was about to leave the living room, he turned around and added,
By the way, I'm going on my business trip overseas next week. As you can see, I'm busy. But I guess someone as idle as you, making useless stuff, wouldn't understand.
He left with a sneer. The following week, he left for his business trip early in the morning. Not even a goodbye. I sighed, and shortly after, our daughter, Samantha, woke up, rubbing her sleepy eyes.
Has Dad already left?
He left about 30 minutes ago. Samantha then started making a phone call on her smartphone. Calling a friend?
No, it's Dad.
Surely, she wasn't calling just to say goodbye. Puzzled, I watched as she continued to call until Tim picked up. After about 10 rings, he finally picked up.
What is it, Samantha? I'm about to start work. Don't call me without a reason.
I could hear Tim's irritated voice from Samantha's phone. He seemed annoyed by the unexpected call. But Samantha ignored his grumpy tone and continued.
Dad, are you still at the airport?
Yes, I'm about to board. I'm hanging up now.
Good luck with your work. But
Samantha paused for a moment and then said something unbelievable.
is the woman you're traveling with your mistress? Be careful, or you'll get fired.
Fired? I was so shocked by the unexpected word that my voice went high-pitched. And what did she mean by mistress?
What nonsense are you talking about? You've always been weird like this, haven't you?
I wondered if I was imagining things, but Tim's voice seemed a bit shaky. After Tim scolded Samantha with inappropriate comments, he abruptly ended the call. The sound of the disconnected call echoed strangely in the room. I was completely baffled and asked Samantha, "Are you half asleep?"
I'll talk to you about it when Dad gets back.
With that, she went back to her room. 3 days later, Tim returned from his trip. He walked into the house as if nothing had happened. I wanted to clarify what happened on the day he left, so I asked, "Hey, about that phone call the other day, what was that about?" Tim turned around with a mocking expression.
Do you really believe Samantha's silly talk? She's been saying weird things since she was little.
I was exasperated. That was true when she was in kindergarten. But now she's in middle school. She'll be in high school next year. It was clear how little attention my husband had paid to our daughter. I became furious and confronted him. "Enough. You may not care, but Samantha is going to be a high schooler soon. No matter how poorly you've treated her, she wouldn't lie like that." I yelled at Tim. 16 years of marriage, and it was my first time fighting back. I didn't know I could raise my voice so loudly.
You, getting all high and mighty while I'm away on my business trip. Who do you think makes this life possible? Enough! Don't you dare talk back to me again.
Tim's face turned as red as a boiled lobster, and he grabbed my collar, raising his right hand high. "He's going to hit me." Just as I shut my eyes tight, the doorbell rang.
Shit!
He lowered his right hand and let go of my clothes.
Go get it!
Okay. I'm saved. I patted my chest in relief and hurried to the monitor, where I saw Tim's boss, John. I knew this boss well since he had been very supportive of me when I worked at the company. He was the one who celebrated our marriage the most in the office. Why is he here suddenly? He's not the type to drop by unannounced. I pressed the button and greeted him. "It's been a while. What brings you here?" On the screen, John looked uneasy, shifting his body from side to side.
"Oh, Kathy, long time no see. Sorry for the sudden visit, but is Tim at home?"
Obviously, he had business with Tim. Normally, this could be handled by email or phone. Does it have to be in person?
Hey, what's taking so long? Who are you talking to?
Tim, annoyed by my long interaction, asked impatiently. John is here. For some reason, Tim's face went pale. His eyes darted in all directions, and he began trembling uncontrollably, completely losing his composure. The opposite of his previous attitude. I'll go ahead and let him in. As I headed towards the door, Tim hurriedly blocked my way.
Wait, the house is messy. I'll talk to them outside. You stay here.
What are you talking about? I just vacuumed. Didn't you notice? The only thing in the way was his suitcase from the overseas trip. We can't have a conversation standing outside. This is your important work contact. Even I, as a stay-at-home mom, understand that much. I spoke a bit sarcastically and tried to walk past him. But he grabbed my arm and dragged me into the living room, clearly not wanting me to meet his boss. Ouch! The force made me cry out. Just then, our daughter, Samantha, slipped past us and opened the front door. John, greeted by her, stepped inside and saw us struggling, his face turning red.
Tim, not only are you cheating, but you're also laying hands on your wife. What kind of man are you?
Cheating? Did he just say cheating? John's words made me think that Samantha's words might be true. But how did John know about Tim's affair? Tim just got back today and hasn't even been to the office yet. I didn't need to ask, as John yelled the explanation at him.
How do you explain making a move on my daughter?
I see, that's what it was. I glanced at Tim, who was sweating profusely and shaking his head desperately.
Misunderstanding? Who told you that?
He was denying it fervently, but his expression and behavior clearly showed he was lying. It's obvious.
Are you going to play dumb? Then what is this photo?
John pulled out his smartphone from his chest pocket and thrust a photo towards us. In the photo, Tim was snuggled up close with a young woman. This was definitive proof. There was no more room for excuses. I felt strangely detached, as if this were someone else's problem.
Do you still insist you didn't do it?
Tim glared at the photo, his face contorted as if he had bitten into something sour. He stared fixedly, probably desperately trying to come up with an excuse. John explained the situation so that even I could understand.
My daughter and Tim have been having an affair for 2 years. This so-called business trip was a lie. They actually went to a resort hotel outside the county together.
The idea of a 43-year-old trying to avoid detection by staying in the room made my skin crawl. I got goosebumps. I remembered that when I worked at the company, John's daughter was in elementary school. If my memory serves me right, she should now be in her early 20s. As I started thinking, I felt an overwhelming sense of disgust toward Tim. I couldn't stop shivering. Unconsciously, I rubbed my left arm. John continued.
The whole company is gossiping about it. Aren't you ashamed? Hitting on a girl nearly 20 years younger. I've been deceived by you for 2 years.
Well, how did you find out about their affair this time?
Oh, my daughter had a private social media account that only a few people could see. She posted pictures of her dates and gifts from Tim there. Here, look.
John manipulated his smartphone and showed me the screen. There were photos from high-end restaurants, numerous gifts, and even long poetic posts about her feelings for Tim. So this is what he was doing during all those outings. I quickly turned to look at Tim. He had his lips tightly sealed and was looking down. Had he given up resisting the overwhelming evidence?
On the day of the trip, my daughter, while drunk in the room with Tim, accidentally posted a photo to her public account, which is followed by company people, instead of her private one.
Maybe she let her guard down since she hadn't been caught before. How foolish. The rumors spread at the speed of light through the company, reaching the boss's ears.
My daughter having an affair with my colleague. It's the worst kind of gossip. It's ruined my reputation.
Clenching his fists in anger, John shouted, and Tim hesitantly opened his mouth.
Well, let me explain. There's a reason for this.
Even now, trying to make excuses? What a fool he is. I've never seen him like this. He always acted superior to me, but he could be so polite to someone above him.
An excuse? Fine, let's hear it.
Tim's face lit up, and he started speaking fluently, a stark contrast to his earlier silence.
Actually, your daughter repeatedly approached me, asking me to date her. I told her I couldn't because I was married.
John listened with folded arms, his expression skeptical.
She even said she'd be fine with just being my mistress or occasionally going out for meals, but I clearly refused. Then she started editing and posting photos.
Editing and posting photos? For what reason?
You stay out of this.
Tim glared at me before continuing.
She cut out group photos from company dinners to make it look like we were together. I told her to stop, but she then asked if I would make her my mistress.
So he was trying to say that the photos were the delusions of the boss's daughter, who wanted to make it seem like he was her boyfriend. I almost admired how coherent his excuse was.
If that's true, then my daughter was causing trouble for you.
Yes, I really wanted to discuss it with you, but I didn't want to provoke her.
John, who had been furious, now frowned and groaned. Tim had a satisfied look, as if saying, I managed to get through this. Could he actually be telling the truth? Both John and I were silent, unsure of what to believe. Then, Samantha, who had been hiding behind John, suddenly spoke up.
Dad's lying. I heard everything.
Her voice shattered the tense silence. Startled by our daughter's sudden revelation, which she had kept quiet until now, Tim responded with a forced smile. Using a gentle tone I had never heard before, he tried to calm her down.
Samantha, we're having an important adult conversation. Go back to your room.
But she ignored him.
On the way back from my practice match the other day, my teammates and I decided to grab some food.
Samantha, if you're going to talk about something irrelevant, go to your room.
Everyone's attention was now on Samantha. It was clear she was about to reveal something important. Tim, looking anxious, leaned forward.
We went to the fast food place near the station.
As Samantha spoke softly, sweat began to form on Tim's face, and his breathing became shallow, his chest rising and falling rapidly.
When we sat down, I saw Dad and a woman sitting across from us.
Stop it, Samantha.
She continued calmly, like a witness giving testimony in court. Unlike her, Tim was becoming visibly agitated.
There were about 8 of us, all in the same uniform, so we stood out. I thought Dad might notice me, but he was only looking at the woman.
Unbelievable. You didn't even recognize your own daughter's team uniform?
Shut up. You stay out of this.
My dad and the woman were holding hands. I couldn't hear much, but I did catch business trip and looking forward to the trip.
That's it.
That settles it.
Tim closed his eyes and bit his lip.
Damn it.
Hearing his barely audible words, I felt myself growing cold inside. John, now angrier than ever, shook with rage and shouted,
Figure out your next steps on your own. I can't believe I ever cared about you.
He stormed past Samantha, slamming the door behind him.
Wait, let me explain. Damn it.
Facing an effective dismissal, Tim collapsed to his knees.
This can't be happening. I worked so hard to get here.
Now's the time. I felt it was the moment. We're getting a divorce. I finally said the words I had been wanting to say. Tim's face quickly shifted from pale to angry as he looked up at me.
A divorce? Are you kidding? There's no way you can do that. You can't even make money.
He wobbled as he stood up from the floor. He probably thought I was talking nonsense. I'm not kidding. We're getting a divorce. I'll raise Samantha. He laughed mockingly and looked down at me even more condescendingly than usual.
You raise her? I've told you before. You're useless. How will you pay for her high school? And since you probably won't get into a public school, it's going to be a private one. That's expensive.
He sneered, peering into my face with a derisive smile. It's too bad. You're way off the mark. You really don't know anything about our daughter, do you? Well, I guess you were too busy with your affair.
What? Are you mocking me? And what do you mean I don't know?
Maybe it's time to tell him. Samantha just got accepted to a private high school on a sports scholarship, and the tuition is fully covered.
What?
Tim's eyes widened in disbelief, and he let out a pitiful sound. The practice match you dismissed as just a middle school game was actually a crucial one with many scouts watching. That's why I wanted you to come. Samantha got scouted and received a scholarship offer from a prestigious private high school for basketball.
But wait, what about living expenses? Even if tuition is covered, there are other costs.
He blurted out, trying to grasp at straws. Does he still think he has the upper hand?
No company is going to hire you, a housewife who hasn't worked in years. Maybe you could manage a store job at best. Former stay-at-home mom.
He assumed I would struggle to find a job, but the same applied to him. He seemed to have completely forgotten that he was also facing unemployment. I decided to tell Tim. Actually, I have an income.
What?
He looked at me with disbelief in his eyes.
There's no way a stay-at-home mom like you has an income. Stop lying. Pretending you're stronger than you are is pathetic.
He still looked down on me. I straightened my back and spoke with confidence. I'm not lying. You know how I've been making jewelry as a hobby? The ones you always mocked.
So what?
Those pieces, which were quite flashy, turned out to be popular as bridal accessories.
No way.
He flinched but quickly regained his composure.
Even if they're popular, those things only sell for, what, $8 a piece at most. No way that's anywhere near my salary.
His condescending attitude had reached an expert level. I almost respected him for it. But today was the end of it. How much did you say they sell for?
What? $8.
Wrong. $250.
Really?
He recoiled in shock, taking a big step back. As he stepped back, I inched closer. Yes, $250 each. They're considered affordable for bridal accessories, so I keep getting orders. If I sell 40 pieces, that's $10,000 a month.
Jesus Christ! $10,000 a month?
He's shocked. Of course, he was. $10,000 a month was more than Tim made. I had already surpassed the income level he had once told me to reach to be considered his equal. You told me before that if I made as much as you, we'd be equal. So by that logic, the one with a higher income should be superior, right? His lips quivered. He must be furious. The woman he belittled as useless was now earning more than him.
Who put that idea in your head?
Excuse me? What does he mean by that? I responded with a question.
Whose advice made you decide to sell them? Yeah, you must be cheating too. Did the guy you're seeing tell you how to make money and get a divorce? Huh?
Tim, now desperate, said whatever came to his mind. Just because Tim cheated, he assumed I must be cheating too. How insulting. As I was about to shout in anger, a calm voice came from behind us.
It was me.
Samantha said, looking straight at him.
What?
Tim asked.
I was the one who advised Mom to sell her jewelry. A classmate of mine has a hobby of making handmade crafts and sells them online. She makes about $100 a month, so I told Mom that hers could sell for much more.
Thanks to her, people now call me a popular bridal accessory designer. You always called me a useless housewife, but this made me really happy. So you see, I have enough money and work to live with Samantha. I declared this to Tim, who still seemed unable to process the situation, and delivered my final words. Please divorce me. After about 5 seconds of silence, he spat out.
Fine. Do whatever you want.
It was finally over. Relieved, I sank to the floor and leaned against the wall.
Mom, you did it.
Samantha and I shared a triumphant fist pump. It turned out she had also reached her limit with her dad's neglect. Tim never returned after that day, and our divorce was finalized a month later. I received the house as alimony for his affair and started a new life with my daughter. Since Tim had rarely been home before, life didn't feel much different. However, without his constant condescension, I noticed my mental health improving. Tim wasn't fired, but rumors about his affair and being kicked out of the house spread throughout the company, making it unbearable for him, so he resigned. He tried to find another job, but news of his affair had reached other companies in the same industry, forcing him to give up on positions where his skills and experience could be useful. Despite applying to various industries, he was repeatedly rejected, likely due to his condescending attitude and his age of 43. I'm sure the HR personnel and interviewers were younger than Tim. He probably looked down on them unconsciously because they were younger and had less work experience, which led to his rejection. So, what is my ex-husband doing now? A former colleague told me. She said that several people had seen him working at a store a bit away from his old workplace. When they spoke to him, he nervously packed their items as if embarrassed. But Tim, wanting to save face, apparently said this.
I'm not just a part-timer. I've been hired as a full-time employee and am undergoing initial training. In a month, I'll be working at headquarters. So, I'm only a store clerk for now.
Given his suspicious behavior, those who saw him were convinced he was lying. One of them decided to ask another store clerk out of curiosity.
Is that guy a full-time employee?
No, he's a new part-timer.
And this is what they said. Speaking of store clerks, that day, Tim had said,
No company will hire a housewife who hasn't worked since getting married. At best, you could manage a store job. Former housewife.
the words he used to look down on me had ironically come back to him. He's no longer part of our lives. I felt a strange sense of nostalgia. But that feeling was quickly shattered by a phone call. It was from Tim. I pressed the reject call button and quietly placed my phone on the table. He kept calling repeatedly. At first, I answered, but each time, he begged in a lifeless voice.
Can we start over? I was wrong. You're the only one for me.
But when he realized I had no intention of getting back together, he became condescending again.
You must have been cheating too. Your jewelry business won't last long. I'll still take you back if you come now.
He'll never change. Well, it's not my concern anymore. I stretched and resumed working on the jewelry I had been making. Currently, I'm crafting a headdress perfect for a garden wedding. I wondered if it might be considered bad luck to buy jewelry from a divorced woman. But Samantha's amusing perspective made me laugh.
Maybe it's actually good luck. It could show your strong wish for the couple never to divorce.
Samantha is not the gloomy girl Tim thought she was. She's inherently positive and cheerful. He never bothered to see that. But now we are happy. To maintain this happiness, I'm considering selling this house to prevent Tim from showing up. According to a real estate agent, property values in this area are rising. We're thinking of moving to a secure high-rise condo near the station. I'll never have to see Tim again or endure his insults. Living with Samantha while doing my job I love makes this the most fulfilling time of my life.